Today, we take you to a ghost village in Mexico, just across the border from the US state of Texas, which 4 years ago was caught in the middle of a turf war between the Zetas and Gulf drug cartels. At one point, almost 90% of the population had fled the violence. Now, the Mexican army has been deployed and residents have started returning, hoping to bring the village back to life. France 24's Laurence Cuvillier and Mathieu Comin sent us this report.
This has become a routine job for these policemen. They're checking these ranches aren't occupied by criminals.
Look how nice this kitchen is.
It's clear the owners here left in a hurry, leaving a part of their old life behind.
This is a 5th grade textbook, a 5th grade Spanish book.
Until 4 years ago, cattle ranchers lived here. Now, the 6 houses where members of the Zeta cartel moved in for a stint stand empty. They left their mark on one of the houses and the vestiges of a lawless lifestyle.
They would keep lookout from the roof, so they could monitor the 3 roads.
There are hundreds of deserted houses in Ciudad Mier. This ghost village was caught in the crossfire of turf wars between the Zetas and Gulf cartel in 2010. They saw relentless shootouts, murders and kidnappings. At its worst, the population dropped from 7,000 to 800. We're just 3 kilometers from the US border. Today, 2/3 of the inhabitants are still absent. Those who've come back are feeling the after effects of the thousands of bullet holes strewn around. The hotels are shut, and the few restaurants that are still open are hopelessly empty. Zenaido's earnings have plummeted 75%. He hasn't even been able to fix the bullet holes in his windows.
There were gunfights that went on for 5-6 hours. Gunshots, gunshots, gunshots.
In this ransacked and abandoned town, work is predictably hard to come by. The mayor of Ciudad Mier offers short-term municipal jobs paying 35 euros a month to those hardest hit. Some of the women are widows or mothers of disappeared narco-traffickers, but no one asks any questions here. Maria never filed a report when her son was kidnapped 4 years ago. With a deep mistrust of the authorities and fear of reprisals, she decided to stay silent.
It's been a long time since the war started. We don't know anything about them. He was married and they took him with his family and everyone, his brothers-in-law, my grandson's parents. You can't recover from all the loss this town has been through, but you have to keep going for your children.
Last December, Maria miraculously found her grandson in a children's shelter. He'd been kidnapped along with his father, but never explained what happened.
So that he can start to forget what he went through, I don't ask him anymore. All I ask the Lord is that he helps me, that he gives me strength to give him a good life. That's all I ask, that God help me, that he give me strength.
Psychologist Luz Helena works with these children. The town school has got half of its original school student body back, but the children remain traumatized by the war that took over their daily life.
There's a question in some of the psychological tests. Why is a brick house better than a wooden house? And the kids say, because they withstand the bullets better. Or why is it good that cars have number plates? It's so we can identify them. But they say, no, miss. It's so we know which gang they belong to.
Over the last 4 years, hundreds of people have been killed or kidnapped in Ciudad Mier. Innocent victims and narco-traffickers, most left behind devastated families.
There's this case of a boy who lost his father because of the situation, and he doesn't let himself feel the pain because his dad was doing something bad. So what happens is, I say, what happened to your dad? And he says, no, my dad, no. And I say, it doesn't matter, he was your dad, you lost him. That has to hurt. And when I say that to him...
Army troops have settled at the entrance of Syazmyr for a couple of months, trying to rein in the violence. The village is slowly coming back to life, quietly healing its wounds. The two cartels remain at war, but they've been pushed to the east, where other towns are now going through the same ordeal these people lived through.
Time now for web news, starting with striking subway workers in Sao Paulo.
Friday saw violent clashes between police and subway workers in Sao Paulo as the city's transportation employees entered a second day of strikes, calling for higher wages. If the strike continues, it could throw the World Cup into disarray. And the biggest event in the footballing calendar is also facing growing opposition on social networks. Many have been posting under the "I'm not going to Brazil because" hashtag, voicing their grievances over the competition and highlighting the massive inequality problem, the cost of hosting the event and the condition of the country's poor. Web users have also slammed the crackdown on anti-World Cup protests over the past few months and brought up the corruption claims, also marring the competition. As we can see here, these feelings of injustice are also being expressed on city walls around Brazil. This one depicts a child crying with only a football to eat. The picture, which is proving extremely popular online, denounces the Brazilian government for spending billions on hosting the World Cup to the detriment of the people. Signs of protest that reflect the feelings of the majority of citizens. A recent poll showed 61% of Brazilians questioned thought hosting the World Cup was a bad idea, particularly in view of the costs involved. Money, they say, that would have been better spent on investing in healthcare, education and public transport. This video features a host of Mexican celebrities saying bullying in schools must stop. The ad is part of an online campaign launched by citizen initiative Basta Mexico to raise awareness of the bullying and violence in schools across Mexico. So, some well-known faces have been posting selfies to social networks, photos in which they're holding a sign reading the campaign slogan, "El bullying no es un juego," which means bullying is not a game. The movement is gaining ground with more and more web users posing for similar photos, hoping to raise greater public awareness of the growing problem of bullying in schools and urging everyone in Mexico to get involved in the campaign. The social media campaign comes after last month's tragic death of 12-year-old Hector Ramirez, who died from injuries sustained in a beating by classmates. The story sparked lively debate in Mexico after the boy's parents publicly accused the school authorities of doing nothing to protect their son from the constant harassment and bullying. According to this document published by Mexican daily Milenio, 60% of school children in Mexico are bullied, an alarming figure which has prompted the Ministry of Education to set up a helpline and website to encourage victims to come forward. American astronaut Reid Wiseman, who's currently aboard the International Space Station, has followed Canadian Chris Hadfield's lead and is tweeting from space. His Astro Reid Twitter feed features shots of Earth seen from space, along with glimpses of life in orbit. Spectacular images that are quite literally out of this world. Canadian photographer Jeff Friesen has paid tribute to Banksy by reproducing some of the British street artist's most famous works in Lego. The collection is called Brixie Lego Banksy and is available to view on the photographer's blog. Photoshop well-known faces including Barack Obama, Hugh Jackman and Kanye West, and replace their eyes with those of American actress Zooey Deschanel. Here's the aptly named Tumblr blog Guys with Zoo Eyes, and the end results are as amusing as they are alarming. This is an interesting video produced by Ignacio Ferrando, who used 6 small GoPro cameras to film a 360-degree perspective of a roller coaster ride. The end result is something else indeed, with tracks that bend and twist in strange ways. It makes for a universe where the laws of gravity no longer seem to exist.
Well, that's it for our 2-hour live show. I'll be back in a few minutes, though, with a full news roundup, including those high-level talks in Vienna on Iran's nuclear program. Stay tuned for some analysis and the rest of the news.